Good afternoon, everyone. Allison Scobark here, Consolidated Planning Group. We are happy that you guys have joined us today. Today, we are partnering with Gateway. They're going to be talking to us about the Gateway Adult Program, affectionately known as GAP. And going to learn all about this program, where they're located, who they serve, what they're doing. If you are attending our webinar, a webinar with us for the very first time, welcome. We are certainly glad that you are here. If you have been attending in the past, we're certainly glad that you are back. All of our webinars are recorded. Everybody who registers for the webinar is going to get a PDF of today's slides. I always mention that so that way you know that you don't have to write everything down that you hear today. You are going to get a copy of those slides. All of our past recordings live on the Consolidated Planning Group YouTube channel. You'll know that you have the right one because you'll see that Consolidated Planning Group flower when you Google the YouTube channel, and you can subscribe to the YouTube channel for free. There are hundreds of webinars out there on planning for special needs. If you can think of a topic, we've probably done it. Lots of resources out there, and we connect with a lot of organizations that serve individuals with disabilities. So for those of you that are here for the first time, Consolidated Planning Group is a holistic special needs financial planning firm. We're nationally certified as Social Security advisors, members of the Special Needs Planning Academy, chartered special needs consultants. I am a parent to four all adults, three with disabilities. We really truly eat, sleep, and breathe this both personally and professionally. So we help families just like yours, or families that you serve, if you are a professional attending today, help plan for the future of their loved one with a disability. Who's going to care for them when they're gone? How much money do we need to fund a special needs trust? What are programs out there? Maybe we're looking at they were formerly called day programs or ISS programs. Are we looking at residential living arrangements, things like that? We help people plan for that. When it comes to planning for a loved one with a disability, oftentimes many families have more than one child with a disability, but these kids are going to have care needs 25 to 35 years after we're gone. So when it comes to planning for a retirement for 25 to 35 years, and then another child that has care needs for another 25 to 35 years, that's like another retirement bucket. So careful planning goes in to play for that. And part of that careful planning and why it's important, whether you work with us or somebody else, we want you to work with a professional that's specifically nuanced, working with families that have a loved one with a disability. There are places and the right and wrong way, and having money in the right buckets. We want to preserve eligibility for state and federally funded programs. Such things, when I say that, it kind of might sound vague to some people, but we're talking about SSI and Medicaid. We're talking about Medicaid waivers, how these all work. And a lot of them, all of them, require Medicaid eligibility. So having money in the right buckets, so that way you don't disqualify your loved one for some of these programs, is really, really important. We help people set up lifetime care plans and protection plans. We help people set up ABLE accounts, which is a place that we can have money um, uh, for the individual with a disability above and beyond the $2,000 Medicaid guidelines. And I'm speaking for Texas. Most states are $2,000. There are some states that are higher, but Texas is not one of them. So that $2,000 guideline, ABLE accounts and special needs trust are where we can have money above that guideline that would still render them eligible for these programs. We do future care cost estimates. How much money do I need to fund the special needs trust? We help people plan for the worst but hope for the best. So when we are doing those future care cost estimates, we're doing small, medium, large. What if my child needs full care? What if they need some help? What if they might be underemployed or unemployed and they need some financial assistance that way? We're able to kind of break it down that way. And then we do a lot of advocacy by way of our webinars. We do webinars ourselves. We partner with other organizations to share the services that they do, and that's exactly what we're doing with Gateway Academy today. So the key things, if you're joining for the very first time, is really, I always tell people it's not about looking back or beating yourself up about what you haven't done. It's about picking up where you left off or getting started and developing that future care plan. So again, whether it's with us or somebody else, we want you to get started on that process prior to the crisis happen. happening prior to somebody dying unexpectedly or becoming incapacitated and no longer able to make those decisions. When it comes to transitioning our kids into adulthood, there's so many, that word is so loaded when we talk about transitioning. It's transitioning healthcare, transitioning from high school to higher education or to work or to programs or things like that. And so we just want to encourage people to get started early. Some programs have waiting lists and timelines that you need to be aware of, because it might not be you just walk in and you do a tour and there you go, and you can get right in. Some of them have longer timelines to get there. So, having said all that, I am excited to be here today with Justin Adams, the GAP director, and also Steve Curtright today. If you wrote in a question today, I have that. I have a few questions that were written in, and we're going to weave those out through our presentation. We invite you to put your questions in the chat box. We'll get to as many as we have time today. We're going for an hour if you're planning your day. And then we are in webinar mode. So I always like to just remind people that we can't see you or hear you, but the chat box is open so you can put your questions there. So having said that, Justin, it is certainly great to be here with you guys today, and we are excited to hear all about this program.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Justin Adams. I'm the director of Gateway Adult Program. That's GAP for short. I'm excited to spend some time with you today and share how our program has evolved, what makes it unique, and how we're helping neurodiverse young adults successfully navigate life after high school. Before we jump in, I'll give you a little bit of information about Gateway Academy. We're an independent school in Houston at 290 and 610. Serving neurodiverse students in grades 6 through 12. And then we also have an adult program, which I'm running, for ages 18 to 26. Our mission is simple: empower neurodiverse students through academics, internships, and social development so they can achieve success in education, employment, and life. Our students get a strong academic foundation, but learning doesn't stop in the classroom. They gain real-world experience through internships across the Houston community, all while developing the communication, executive functioning, and social skills that are essential for long-term success. So of our graduates, what a number that we're really proud of is 97% of them have gone on to employment or post-secondary education. So that's why we created the adult program. We're way ahead. Sorry. Okay. So every parent in the room has asked themselves the same question at some point. Why, what am I going to do after my student graduates? Will they be okay? I know they're capable, but the consistency isn't there. So if that sounds familiar, you're in the right place.
Can I just ask a question for after age 26? Do you guys have referrals for other programs post age 26, or if people don't kind of fit the mold for your program, there might be some families on here that have kids older than 26.
What we can find, we can help them find some other referrals. Depending on the need, sometimes we can make some exceptions for like up to 30.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So, neurodiverse young adults struggle to launch after high school. We all know that, right? It's not because they aren't smart or capable. It's usually because the executive functioning, the independence, communication, emotional regulation, and accountability are all difficult. Once we get into adulthood, there's no one there to keep the structure for us on our own. So all those things kind of get difficult to do. So that's why we created GAP. It's to guide these young adults past that moment where they don't know what the next step is. So we uncover and challenge the misconceptions that they carry into adulthood. We track observable behaviors, give clear, constructive feedback, and hold students accountable. We support the strategy shifts that lead to stronger decision making, and we build real world skills it takes to be confidently independent. So, our program empowers young adults to thrive in adulthood by building on five things: practical tools for self sufficiency and independence. We build routines around things like getting enough sleep or kind of managing your phone, your screen time. Emotional insight, self-regulation for wellness and resilience, especially when things don't work out. How do you come back from that? What do you do when disappointment hits? What kind of coping strategies can you come up with? Social understanding through peer interaction and community engagement. We do like scheduled outings for like bowling or going to the movies, or just do activities outside of sitting around on your video games and, saying your friends are online only. We try to get them out in the community and, experience things that are not digital. Um, Employment readiness through offsite unpaid internships. Then once we get them employed, we talk about the workplace culture, understanding how you get paid, the onboarding paperwork, and recognizing indirect feedback. And then we also do some coaching around financial literacy and like doing group activities. Um, GAP students are can be enrolled in college. They also might just be right out of high school. Some have tried college and didn't work out, and they've tried a new plan, and that's what we're there to help them with. Some of them, already in a job, in a career, and they come to us because things are hard and they're maybe living on their own, and they can't balance work and life at the same time. So every path is different, and so everything gets individualized for them.
We do have a question. Are you guys a 501(c)(3)? And are you willing to help another organization build similar program in a non-competitive community? And do the people for this program have to have an intellectual disability?
I didn't hear the last thing you said, but the first two questions were a yes on both.
Okay, yes on both. And then the last question was, do all of the people in your program, do they have to have an intellectual disability, an IDD diagnosis?
Um, for the most part, yes. Um, we've never had anyone that has come to us without one. I think if the um, actual need was there and they maybe don't have a diagnosis, doesn't mean that they aren't actually struggling with those things. So we would do like we do a intake processing. So during that, we would make sure that we're not going to be wasting each other's time. Like if it's something that we can actually help them with, then yes, we would take them.
Sometimes I think that we see a lot of tweeners, that they're kind of in between. Maybe they're autism, higher functioning, ADHD, they have executive functioning issues, but maybe not an intellectual disability. So I know we serve a lot of families that have kids that they're not quite there yet. They don't necessarily fit with an IDD diagnosis, but they also don't necessarily fit with the mainstream. They may have some processing speed or working memory issues alongside of some of their comorbid diagnoses.
Mhm.
Um, and then and someone just said exactly, and our my child is just points above the IDD diagnosis. Those are the tweeners. There's a lot of them. You are not alone. We see those all the time, and it just kind of equates. We struggle to find a perfect fit for our kids that fit in that category. It is tough for sure. Okay, so having said that, tell us about your coaching approach. And I think I need to be clear. Is this GAP program, is it a day program that they go 5 days a week? Do they live there, or is there an option for both? Or what's the
No,
deal with
so
that?
in the past it was a day program. We're now moving to a model that's more of a one-on-one coaching. with like daily check-ins, but and then we do like sessions over like Zoom or in person. Sometimes I'll go to their apartment. Sometimes they may come to my office. Sometimes we'll meet out in the community somewhere. And then we have like scheduled days where all the students that I'm coaching come in to do like a group activity or something like that. But it's not a daily program. We're more like um, they get about 2 to 3 hours of like face-to-face one-on-one coaching, and the rest time is usually just like small short check-ins, maybe a text message, maybe a quick phone call. But it's not a day program where they actually come here and sit and listen to
And
lessons.
so basically, we're trying to build their independence to be able to live independently or live uh, more effectively independent if they're already living independent. It's kind of building some of those skills. And then, is there any, kind of recreation or interaction with the other people that are in the program?
Yeah, so like when we do the social activity stuff, most of the students that I'm coaching would I mean, it is optional, but we do strongly encourage them to all come on certain days, and then we'll do one of those kind of activities like going to, you know, the movies together, or we'll go to a museum, or just for a walk, just something to do that's not, you know, online with people, playing games or on their phone,
Got
you
it.
know.
And one person says, what about a person who's dropped out of high school?
I mean, most of all that's going to be case by case. Like, I mean, what we would do is during that process of the like interview and then the intake, like whatever we see, if there's a need that we can help them with, um then we're willing to do that. If it's a situation that just because they dropped out of high school doesn't necessarily mean they're not capable, so we wouldn't use that against someone.
So what I hear is you meet people where they are.
Yes,
And when you guys, part of your initial assessment is to understand where they are, where they've been, and where they hope to go to determine if kind of a plug into your program might be a good fit for what they've already done so far.
exactly.
Okay, I
Well
got it.
spoken.
Okay.
All right. So, like I said, we've kind of covered what kind of students we're looking at. Um, so what we've done is we've changed now to a one-on-one coaching instead of the classroom stuff. What we found while we were doing the classroom approach was that most of the students in there knew the content that we were teaching them. They just didn't know how to apply it. So it was kind of like, oh, they know all the answers, but we need to actually do something more than just discussing it. So through the one-on-one coaching that we were doing within the day program, we were able to do it here and there. That's where we saw the most meaningful results. So we went to change so that way we could focus more on that versus the, going over, the same kind of materials and lessons all the time. So what it looks like is daily they have to do a Google form check-in. It's a kind of an assessment of like what they've done that day. Did they go to work? Did they, do like your regular tasks? Like, did they brush their teeth that day? Did they take a shower? Did they leave their apartment? Did they go grocery shopping? All these different things. So uh, doing all that. So that's a daily check-in that they do. Uh, Throughout the week, like I said, they have 2 or 3 individualized coaching sessions. Those are usually about an hour each. And those can focus on whatever it is that that student is needing. We also do like a goal focus. So a short-term goal, a long-term goal, which is updated regularly to make sure that we're still on track for that. And then every other week they do a like Zoom with parents and myself, and they lead a Zoom meeting to discuss their progress, what's going on in their lives, to keep their parents still in the loop. Because a lot of times we find that they don't say anything when they go home or if because some of our guys live at home still too. They're not all in apartments. And one of the things I'll talk about in a bit is just also how changing the household so that they start making that transition into adulthood without still feeling like a child living in their house. Um, so Everything is always personalized, so whatever that student is needing, that's what we're trying to help them with.
So can we just pause for a minute and talk a few minutes about the internships for students
Mhm.
not currently working or enrolled in college? One question in the chat box is, so if you guys are working virtually with people and you're doing Zooms for this coaching program, do you have internships in other cities other than Houston, like other Texas cities? Is that something that you guys work on? And do you also partner with like Texas Workforce Commission, vocational rehab, and programs such as that? Tell me how that works with you guys.
So our internships are kind of we have a person here that goes out and like makes these connections, and she builds up like the she does it for the high school and for our guys, and sets up the internships. Like we have one at Memorial Hermann Hospital. We have one at a feed and store called Wabash, the Sheraton Hotel, the Forum, which is a retirement community. So we have all these different ones that our students can get assigned to. um it's only in Houston though, it kind of in this like, I don't know, 10-mile radius that we have. Um, and when we're there, the students are there. If they need transportation, they can come to the school and they can come up to the school location and get transportation to the internship, or they can meet us there and we're with them on site the entire time, or I'm with them, or whoever's
For our
assigned.
people that are here today that maybe aren't in the Houston area, what I want to mention is there are programs, okay, for helping our kids with disabilities get to work. Every state has them. So Consolidated Planning Group serves all across the United States, not just in Texas. All states have vocational rehab through Texas, through the Texas Workforce Commission, vocational rehab, and that is for individuals who have a disability that is an impediment to employment, and they help close those gaps for competitive employment. That is one place. The other place, I want to talk about Best Buddies. You guys can Google that. I think we've got a webinar. Either we just did one or it's coming up. And they have kind of an employment program and they help plug people in, and they're all across the state. It's not just uh, in Houston. And then the last thing that I want to mention to you, and we've done kind of webinars on these topics before, is the Department of Labor has something called registered apprenticeships. And these are programs, they do include programs for people with disabilities that kind of help train them as they're going along, and then they start learning a trade and things like that. So there are lots of programs out there. I just wanted to mention that, and I'm going to turn it back over to Justin on that.
Yeah, and so you had asked the question also about TWC. We encourage the families to get involved with that and kind of like help them with that process, because it can be pretty long, and kind of like keeping them on the ball with it. We have, of our guys, I would say about 90% of them are already enrolled with TWC that we were working on them with last year. Um,
And I want to be real with that. And you kind of danced around it, but let's just be real. Um, The Workforce Commission and the VR program is less than perfect. It isn't perfect. They have state and federally funded dollars. They have deep pockets to help, pay for training and testing and other things that it might be appropriate. It could be driver's training. It could be all kinds of things. They put together an individualized plan for your loved one. But there have been challenges. They're working through those challenges. There have been employment challenges, changings of counselors and things like that, where maybe you've been enrolled in this program and it slipped through the cracks, or you didn't get help, or they did testing and then nothing else. But speak up about that. If you're not getting um, the help that you need, reach out to them. They're really trying. We've got a lot of them that we've partnered with over the years. They've had budget squeezes and people, leaving and not filling those positions and things like that. But be patient, because I know if we have more than three people on here, they've all done VR. They've had varying experiences. I've had people that VR was a slam dunk. They're child got on at DuPont, was later hired full time with benefits, the whole nine yards. And then we've heard other stories as well. But I just want to mention that you guys are not alone there, and keep up kind of where you are with that. And if you need help, ask for it.
Yeah, that was exactly like same kind of situation. We have some of our guys have had no troubles whatsoever with TWC, and some are still in the process of having to contact them constantly to get the next steps taken care of. Another one we do also work with is the Goodwill. They have an employability program that we also direct some students towards to kind of help them with that kind of job focus. They'll take them to a store, and it's usually like a 2 month program, and work with them over the in the store with like sorting and like intake and greeting customers and all those kind of things. Okay. Um, back to the slides. Um, so like I was saying, each young adult gets individual supports. We try to focus on four specific areas that usually are where we notice stalls after high school. And those four are um, executive functioning, which is like, achieving things by initiating, prioritizing what comes first. How do you move from the start of something to the end of something? And all that stuff. Independent living, so those responsibilities that you have to take care of that most parents have always taken care of, and then you get to adulthood and they're not being taken care of anymore, and you tend to um, struggle to figure out the next steps. So like, that comes with your hygiene, grocery shopping. It'd be amazing how many guys I've taken to the grocery store and they don't understand that the layout. They just go straight for the sodas. And you're like, nope, you got to buy actual groceries on the outside of the grocery store, the vegetables and things like that. The career readiness, preparing for employment. We work on resumes, editing your like cover letters, what the purpose of those things are. And then also once they're in the workplace, like understanding those hidden roles that people miss. And then last is the personal growth, like that autonomy, developing emotional awareness, the resilience when things are difficult. How do you come back from that? So growth doesn't just happen in a classroom. It happens at internships, it happens at home, around the community, and honestly, it happens on the days when things just seem really hard. Uh, those internships, like we can start working on them with those hidden rules, the things that, how to talk to customers, what the expectation is for like time management. Like it's taking you too long to do something, or you can't avoid the tough tasks just because you don't want to do them. At home, you know, making sure you wash your clothes, start cooking your own meals. And then the community just going out and, meeting people and building those networks so that way it is easier to get a job. So one of the things that I was since we're switching from a classroom approach where I don't get to see them every day or they have to be here at a certain time, there is that component of accountability that would be getting lost. So one of those things was those daily check-ins that I've added. So that way they have to do something to show that they are making something happen every day. Uh, and those updates, when they complete the Google form, it sends a um, email to the parents, to me, and to them to let them know they finished. We also have after session strategy Google form where they have to fill out to kind of recap, reflect on what we talked about, and then using all that data. We can actually show them like trends within their own accountability. What are they doing? What's happening over time? And all those kind of things. So when you build accountability this way, you get to start seeing some visible consistency. Daily habits get tracked over time. They also get achievement streaks. So if they've done like their form so many days in a row, they start getting a streaks for that, to kind of give them that like encouragement, a reward in a sense. Um, but we're all looking for the same progress. And our strategies to work on those things can change over time. When
So,
accountability,
one person asked more about the accountability. Like, do you guys
Mhm.
do pictures of space or in person? Some of our kids have a problem picking up after themselves or cleaning their room or kind of some of the daily activities that people do. Rewards, consequences. You talked about some of the rewards, and some of our kids with executive functioning issues struggle with some of the online piece, or they're not as engaged. They got 10 other things going around in their head when they're meeting with you, and I know you see that.
Mhm.
How do you bring them back to center, and how does that accountability piece work in those situations?
So the first question you asked about was like pictures and whatnot. So a lot of times if I'm wanting validation for something, if I'm not seeing them in person, so I'll have them FaceTime me, show me around the room. If it's something for like, keeping your room clean, or if it's like doing the dishes, do a FaceTime video. Sometimes I do also go to their apartments in person and have our meeting session there. And that way I can also look around to see what's happening in their apartment. What their room looks like. Is there clothes everywhere? Is their bathroom like just disgusting? Um, we also do the screen time on their phones so that even if they turn it off, the battery time also shows you, and you can't turn that off. The battery time also gives you a good estimate of how much screen time they have. So we're tracking that. Um, the What was the other question you had
And
asked about?
I'm guessing that the reward system is something that they want, and the achievement streaks and stuff like that
Yeah.
is something that they strive for. So if they miss the mark, part of that is being a part of a group that's in the same thing and kind of keeping up with those streaks and
Mhm.
positive things moving in the right direction. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think another part of it that is that accountability piece is that when they do it, everything that they input into the form is also shared with other people. So, like, yes, they can obviously lie, but it doesn't do them any good to do that. And we talk about that. Like, if you're lying about it, then it doesn't really help you, and you're just wasting your time, and
So
that's
it's
not what
not
you want
just
to
you,
do.
there's peer accountability in addition
Oh, yes.
to you and the folks that run this program. I think that that is powerful.
Yes. So, like I was saying, we take that data and we use it to track all kinds of things like their screen time. Are they taking their medication every day? How are they sleeping at night? How many hours of sleep are they getting? How long are they watching TV? Are you getting your chores done? Every time we have a session, there's supposed to be like 3 or 4 tasks that have had done before we meet, and we check to make sure that those get done as well. Uh, so the You can go to the next slide. Sorry.
Are you on the data slide?
The next one.
Okay, I was going to say it seems like there might be a delay or something. Okay.
There we go. So with the data that we collect, it's able to give them concrete evidence. So when you can show it to them like from a graph or from like just numbers, it's so much more concrete and factual. So there's no judgment or feeling of my opinion being in the process. It is like, this is what you've reported, this is what has been happening. So, what can we do about this? So, it gives them that they don't feel like criticized by looking at straight facts. So, in doing that, we use it to create those goals and things like that. I'm going to show you an example of one of the things that we tracked was our screen time. So we did that for a full year in 2025. uh, to get a full picture of what they're logging on a daily day basis. As you can see, this student was doing a lot of YouTube time. Uh, and then we showed them all their progress over a year. And the next slide will show you that. So this was all their students that we had that year in their screen times. So you could see that there was quite a few of them that were just under about 900 hours, whereas one was well above 1,200 hours. And then we had one that was even under 190 hours. So looking at that, I was able to show them, like, the guy that was way up there, like, this is how much screen time, this is how much of your hours you spent in a year on your phone. Do you think you could have done something else with that time? And then kind of have him like ponder that, like, look at that compared to everybody else. And then even the guys that were at close to the 900, like, that's still a lot of time that you're spending on a phone when you could be doing other things.
And I'm assuming that you've had people come through this program that have, the gaming addictions is a real thing for a lot of people.
Mhm.
So you guys also talk about those video game things and the hours spent on those devices as well.
Yes. Uh, Sorry. We go over the like, sorry, sorry, stupid watch. Um, the video games, like, one of the guys did have to turn in his video game console for quite some time, um, just because it was becoming a problem. Um, and we do discuss it. It's it's harder to track because a lot of those devices don't have the screen time option to track it, probably purposefully. And so we don't know how long they're always on it because I'm not with them 24 hours a day. However, it does show up in other things. Like,
And plus, you guys are meeting with the parents, so you guys have a clear picture of
mhm,
what's going on for that. And then, likewise, some people have social media issues. It's not just YouTube. Maybe it's Facebook, maybe it's Instagram, or any of the other
Snapchat.
apps, the Snapchat and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure that that's all things that you guys are talking about as well.
Yes. Go over all of the tech stuff. It is a big thing to try to get them off of, or at least managing it so that they can still be functional because it can take over quite easily. Um,
Does it
but
matter for the people that are in your program? It's okay if they are under guardianship or not under guardianship. Those, it is okay either way.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
That
perfect.
has no bearing for us as long as we can help them is what we're actually making sure of. We don't want
But
to,
I want to just pause because that's a really good question. And there are a lot of programs, higher education programs, or other things out there that question should be asked, or you could get really far down in the process and then find out, oh snap, they don't take people that are under full guardianship. So for whoever put that in there, thank you. Everybody here thanks you because it's a great question to ask if they're evaluating other programs.
uh, so with the data, what we do with that is present it to them after it's been tracked, and have them start brainstorming strategies. What can they do to, you know, figure out a plan to fix this? Um, so they come up with strategies and we work through them. We talk about what strategies they've done in the past, what strategies other people have tried. And what I'm trying to get them to do is find that the autonomy, the ownership of making a plan for yourself and sticking to it. Because what I found is that I can't change them, parents can't change them. It really just has to make it, they have to want to change and they have to also want to, it has to be their plan. When we enforce things on them, they might do it for a short time to appease somebody, but then as soon as, you know, you stop watching it closely, they go back to their old ways. So really want to make that process their own so that way they feel like it's, that they're a part of it. It's not somebody else telling them what to do, it's me telling myself I need to make this change. And then when we have that plan in place, we keep monitoring it and making sure that it works. If it's not working, maybe we need to make some changes. Maybe we need to adjust it some. What isn't about it that isn't working? And that could be for anything. It could be for your screen time. It could be for, going to bed at a regular hour. It could be um, listening to your boss the first time they tell you something. It could be getting your homework and assignments done on time. All those things will be, uh, whatever their goals are, whatever it is that they need to work on, that's what we're there to coach them through.
So there's a couple of things that I really love. First of all, that autonomy, because our kids and even kids with disabilities, it's kind of the natural progression that they want to push us away more. They don't care as much as what mom and dad thinks. They're tired of hearing our voice. And and I think what's super cool is that they've got some ownership in this. They've got some skin in the game, and it's not a mom or dad, quote unquote, nagging them, as they say. This is a true partner that is on their side. And it kind of takes some of that the struggle out of the equation, and it puts it just like they would be if they were in a job and they had a boss. They're in this program, they have people on the team that they report to, that they work with, that work with them, and it kind of takes us out of it a little bit. We're still involved and still in those family meetings and things like that, but it gives them a chance also to grow and also be held accountable, because of course our kids don't like it when we hold them accountable. But whenever it's somebody else and it's, part of this program, then they expect it. I love that about this.
Yeah, the ownership that they have, it's very natural for young adults at this age range to want to start. It's kind of like that rebellion role identity where they try to figure out who they are, and when people tell them what those things are, who they are, it makes it um, where they hit that pushback, or they don't want to accept it, so they just do it long enough to get somebody off their back. Um, so at the end of the day, the goal of GAP was never simply to just create a program. It's once to help adults lead with skills, confidence, and the direction to take their next step. Having them with that ownership of everything means it will stay around longer than just the time that they're with me, or while they're living at home. Uh, Whatever their goal is, whatever their future aspects are, we want them to be able to leave us with the ability to still get what they want, to conquer those things. So
What is
if
the
it's
generalized time frame? I know that you guys do individualized plans, but how long does a person go through the coaching program with you guys, and do they continue another session, or how does that work?
so in the past when we were doing the year round um, day program, it was yearly. Most of the people that were in the yearly program were usually with us for 2 years. Coaching, there's really not a time limit on it. It may be, we do 6 months at a time. So 6 months is the I guess minimum. After that, you can continue to do the coaching. I can't really give you an exact how long it's going to be because, like I said, every student is different. Some need more, some need just a little help with school, like just the beginning of school. Like, how do I plan my week with doing the assignments and, getting that under their belt? Some of them need a lot more, you know, coaching on a lot of different things, like just, you know, from the just going to the grocery store to, paying your rent on time to getting a job to doing a resume. So those things take a little bit longer.
And those are things where you guys will provide that hands-on service. And you said that you do go to their space. And if a family, you talked about 3 times a week or other things and different meetings, if a family felt like they needed their loved one to come in and meet with you in person, or wanted you to come to their location, that's something that you guys work out as a part of the individualized plan.
Yes, I mean, I'm willing to drive some places, but it's like not out of the city of Houston though. Um, so like if we talked about applying services for people not in the Houston area, right now it's not currently available. But it may be something in the future where we're able to do, but it would mostly just be over Zoom though, or some sort of like phone calls. It would never be in an in-person situation.
So the name gap is so appropriate because a lot of our kids, and honestly, a lot of neurotypical kids aren't there yet. They haven't quote unquote arrived, and we have a lot of neurotypical kids that go to higher education that wasn't a good fit for them or it didn't work out or whatever, but they were still kind of getting where they were going and still building maturity and some of those skills. So basically this could be described maybe as kind of a bridge program to next of where we go from here. Maybe we're not completely there yet. Some of our kids maybe went to school, they stayed in school to 18, some stayed in school to 21 or 22, and this is kind of that next step kind of thing before we get to where we're going. Would that be a good description?
That's perfect description. I mean, that's why we kind of came up with the name Gap. Was it some of our guys need that gap year to try to figure out what their next steps are. Some of them, took a year to do something. Maybe they went to school and, 6 months in or 3 months in, they found that college was a little too difficult, or they had a job and they keep cycling through and getting fired before and not knowing why. And we've had several of them come to us like, oh, every manager just hates me. They just, they're just the worst. They're so mean. And we're like, well, I don't think every manager in the last 4 jobs has been that way. It might be some self-reflecting that we're not doing. So yes, it's a time for them to try to like take that moment to kind of do some self-reflection and get some individualized coaching on whatever it is that is the struggle for them.
So is this a private pay? Could it be covered by VR? Is it covered by any of the waivers, the Medicaid waivers? How is this program covered?
It is not covered under the waivers. I believe it is just I think it's just pay. I don't think any of the waivers cover this program as far as I'm.
That's something that would you guys would have to have an agreement with the Medicaid waivers or whatever for that. And then also with VR, if this is the type of service that is inside the individualized employment plan, could it be covered by VR, or are you guys partnered with VR in that capacity?
Not really sure on that one. I could get back to you.
Yeah,
Um,
no
just
worries. Just
because I
just
don't know much of
checking.
the payment situations is kind of done by a different
That's not
department.
your department. That is completely okay. So this is the QR code that will take you to a link that you can reach out to Justin and learn more about this program. Are you guys doing any tours? And for people that are here, there's Gateway Academy. You said there's a school. I think you said sixth to 12th grade, and I know that
Mhm.
we've had clients out at that school, and their kids are thriving and they've been very happy with that. So for people that have kids that are under age 18, there is a full-time private school, Gateway Academy, and you guys are connected to them.
Yes. And the
Got it.
school does a lot of the internships. They're very highly focused. The high school is on transitioning outside of high school. So they're, like I said earlier, they're 97% of our graduates go on to a job, to college, to some other transition as soon as they graduate. So they're highly focused on it. What we are doing is kind of like some of those guys that did get into a college, they might need some help. So some of our guys are from Gateway. Some of them are from just around the community that have come to us just because they found us and they needed some help.
Got it.
Also, if you call that number two, you can get more information about some of those questions about the payment stuff. And we'd be happy to do a tour of the high school and I can
Perfect.
meet with them too.
I had a couple of write-in questions today that I wanted to go over with. One person said coaching and financial planning. That is exactly what we do. There will be this QR code at the end, somewhere here at the end, if we ever, well, I don't even see it. But anyway, we will send that out. We'll add that QR code on how you schedule with us. We always do free personalized consultations with people on planning for special needs and kind of moving forward. Some people have done a lot of planning. Other people need to kind of pick up where they've left off. They got started, but they didn't get finished. And some people are just starting. So, like I said at the beginning, it's not about beating yourself up. It's you are where you are. You're here today. And I would say just, we want you to get going before, I hate the phrase, but a day late and a dollar short before that crisis happens, before something happens and we wish we would have done something that we didn't do. I think that that's really important. We help with all of that. Um, on our previous slide here, these are things that we want you to keep on your radar. We have webinars on all of these topics, deep dive on SSI, SSDI, Medicaid waivers, future care cost estimates, ABLE accounts, special needs trusts, guardianship, you name it. We've done a webinar on it, and that lives on our YouTube channel. And we'll have upcoming webinars that you can register for going forward. One person said, how are retirement benefits work for adult children? Do they change the rules of survivor benefits? And retirement benefits, that's a great question. Retirement benefits, if they're going to continue to your disabled adult child that is covered under a parent's record for childhood disability benefits, those retirement or pension benefits should be allocated the right way, maybe to a first party special needs trust or a qualified income trust. And that is conversations that you need to have. If that money is going to put them over that earnings test of the gross earnings of 1690 gross earnings per month, then you may want to have further conversations to having that money allocated appropriately. One person said, I would like to know if my loved one with a disability should attempt a job when she turns 16 and what jobs she could handle at age 16 with her disability. And I think that that is a very personal decision. There's not a right or wrong answer. And the whole point of vocational rehab or best buddies or some of these other programs that we mentioned is to help them try their hand at employment. And Justin mentioned, and I have experienced this in my own family, that sometimes they've had jobs and they keep getting fired from the job. They can get the job, but they can't keep the job. They get constructive criticism. They walk off the job or they say something they shouldn't say, or, things like that. And that does happen. And part of the experience of all people is trying their hand at something and learning something, whether they keep the job or they lose the job. It was learning. They learned along that way. And so I'm definitely a fan of that. A person, so a lot of times, most of the families that we work with, their kids are, but prior to age 18, didn't qualify for SSI or Medicaid unless they were getting MDCP. And when they turn 18, our kids with disabilities may qualify for SSI, which for 2026 is $994 a month. And some people say, well, I heard if you apply for SSI, they can't be working. And that is not true. They could be working, but as long as they're not earning more than the substantial gainful amount, which is $1,690 for 2026 gross earnings per month. So I think the other idea that I have is get them volunteering. There are volunteering jobs and sorting jobs and stacking jobs and boxing jobs and other things like that where people need support and they do uh, you know uh, take the services of an individual with a disability. So look at that, because maybe that's an example of dipping your toe in and figuring out how this is going to go. How often could this person work? How many hours could they take without causing problems and that kind of thing? So that's an idea as well. The other thing I wanted to mention, there is a Disability Chamber of Commerce in Houston. It was founded by Dr. J. Cherie Ellis, Disability Chamber of Commerce in Houston, and they may have knowledge of employers that are known for working and doing great with people with disabilities. There are a lot of them out there. HEB is one of them. Kroger's another. Academy. There's a lot. There's too many to mention, and I'm not forgetting anybody or anything like that. But there are some that we just know that have been great. And those that I have mentioned have actually, I've known families that had a loved one that actually retired from those jobs. Okay. They were there a really, really long time. So just kind of thinking about some of those things. Another person, and I want to mention this, I know that this is not our topic today, but this is a big topic. And thank you for having the courage to put this question in. What about sex education for special needs? That is a big deal and it is a big topic, and a lot of times people don't talk about it. But what I want to mention is Dr. Michelle Garcia. She's a psychologist. That's her whole business. She's really, really good at sex education and all of these things. She has programs for people with adults with disabilities for this. So if you Google Dr. Michelle Garcia, she's in the greater Houston area. We've done webinars with her, but I think it's been a long time. But I do know she's great. And again, thank you for having the courage to put that in, submit that question. And then one person said, well, my loved one qualify for Medicare or insurance benefits. This is a loaded question, and the answer is probably, but we don't know because it's very specific to the individual. When we have a loved one that has a disability whose disability started prior to age 22, they have the ability to be covered under a parent's record for childhood disability benefits, formerly known as DAC, Disabled Adult Child. And that would render them eligible for up to 50% of what we get, either Social Security disability or Social Security. After 24 months of eligibility for that, then Medicare comes along. SSI is typically, not always, but for age 18 and older, it's based off of the parent's income and assets prior to the child turning 18. So a lot of times, even though the child is disabled, the parents have too much money, they make too much money, or they have more than $2,000 in their name, and their child doesn't qualify for SSI. Once they turn 18, that's when a person should reapply for SSI. And I've got Jessica Alvarez on our screen here. We have a team here at CPG. Excuse me, we've launched a new service where we help kind of guide the process of the application process, and help you with what you need to do to submit and kind of everything of what to do, what not to do, how to get it ready, what to expect with the process. So we have an application support service, and when you have our free consultation, we'll talk to you more about the services and the fees associated with those services. But for people that are not getting benefits, they've got deeper questions on benefits, they need help with the application process, we have someone on our team for that as well. So for today, I mean, we're basically out of time for today. I do want to end on, can you give us a range of a cost of your program? We're financial planning people, so we want to know about costs and money and how it works. Before we go for today, could tell us a kind of a range on that.
Yeah, right now the 6 months is 8,000.
Okay, so 6 months is 8,000, and is
Mhm.
there a deeper discount if we sign up for a year or anything like that?
As of now, there's not. Well, right now we're just doing 6 months at a time. So
Okay,
that's why
okay,
there's just a set rate for that. With the we kind of compared it to what like a life coach would get paid. And they're like about 150 to $200 an hour. So kind of
hmm,
in that range, but it's actually about a little bit less than what you would pay if you're getting 3 sessions a week with the life coaching.
got it, got it. Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. Thanks everybody for putting your questions in today, and sharing that. We will get those slides updated with the QR code that will take you to our scheduling link where you can schedule your free personalized consultation. If you're thinking about private school, go tour Gateway. If you're thinking about programs like this, these programs do matter. It is helpful and it does kind of take you back out of that out of that struggle. When we have adults, I mean, they're naturally supposed to be wanting to move to that next level of life and independence. So it's kind of a natural struggle, but it's always hard for parents for sure. Well, thank you again, Justin. Thank you, Steve, for being here. Thank you guys for all of your questions, and we will look forward to connecting with you again soon.
Yeah, thank you all for coming.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.